when the world gets in my way, I need to make a getaway. So I ride down that old dirt road, the same place I always go. It does us so good sometimes to be alone from time to time. Take the time and let it all go. Watch the world go by real slow.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Last Hobo's Ramble. I'm John,
I'm Adam.
and this is the Last Hobo's Ramble, where we talk about various subjects, most to do with Texas, greatest state, country, and the world. Start off with a little Texas political humor. The great philosopher Aztecs, how you like that name? A-Z-T-E-X.
Easy.
Aztecs once observed, there ought to be a law in Texas that limit no more than two people can run for office at the same time. If more than two run, it makes it hard to pick the lesser of two evils.
That's fair. You got to pick the lesser of the three, huh?
That's right. That's right. You've seen the one Terry had out there, right? There's three kinds of people in the world.
Those
Something
who
like
can,
that.
those who can count, and those who can't.
Yep. we know where they're at. I think he said his uncle used to say that.
Right.
What
Hey,
do you got for us today, man?
Well, I was going to tell them real quick. Don't forget, you can catch the podcast rss.com/podcasts/Last Hobos Ramble. You get us on Facebook, Last Hobos Ramble, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever Elon's calling it now, cousin Elon, and several different places. You can also listen to us on any of your
Tickety-tockety.
Tickety-tockety, yep.
Hey, we got a pretty good following on Tickety-tockety right now. So, I mean, I know the videos are a little different than what you hear on here, but they're pretty humorous. They're stories from old man at the coffee shop. And I get to call them old man, and Adam don't, because I'm getting older. And, kind of starting to fit in around there maybe a little bit. But,
yep. You catch us on any of your favorite podcast platforms and also on YouTube. If you're not a podcast listener, you can still go to YouTube and look us up, Last Hobos Ramble, and the podcast will play on there.
Now, I did have someone ask, was there going to be video on YouTube or just sound? And I think right now it's just sound, correct?
Yeah, it'll just be sound. We do have a couple of videos posted that are just clips of us doing the podcast, but right now nobody's offering us any modeling contracts over it, so we don't want to abuse you too much showing you John. So
Especially we do this early in the morning, so
that's correct. That is way before we get to put our makeup on or anything like that.
Right. I'm gonna learn about them filter things one day. I was trying to find a filter yesterday. All I found was a Fram fit old Chevrolet, but
gosh dang, son. I put a filter on the other day. I look like my daughter likes to play with Snapchat. I put a filter on the other day, and it's supposed to make you prettier. It made me look like Lizzo.
Well, you know, I mean, you've seen filters before, right? These girls that have filters, and I say girls because you and I get TikToks and stuff, and I know we've talked about it before, so I'm sure there's some guys that use them, but we're familiar with the women that use them. Have you ever seen someone that was on TikTok and used a filter, and then you seen them in real life, and you're wondering, who are they? I don't know who that person is.
Yeah.
Because they did not look nothing like, not even close, you know.
And here's a warning to all the younger guys, okay? I put that pretty filter on there, and the first thing it did was delete my beard and my mustache. So think about that when y'all looking at all the TikToks and the girls and the filters there. They could have a full-blown beard and a mustache. You don't know.
Is that why the women don't have beards anymore? Whiskers.
It may
Whiskers.
be. It may be that it's made it way harder for Barnum and Bailey to find their sideshow folks. That's
Wow. Yeah, and with all this new stuff that's come out with these computers, it's a lot of fake stuff out there, of course, you know. But
I'd hate to
wow.
be on the I'd hate to be on the dating scene now.
Oh, it'd be horrible, wouldn't it? You don't know what you're gonna get or who or you know. So
Yeah,
wow.
I'd say
Took your beard completely away.
took
Really.
my beard, took
I
the
didn't know
beard,
I didn't know it would
mustache.
do that. You know, you keep me up to date on a lot of this stuff, so I
Well,
don't do that.
Maddie likes it. I'm not a Snapchatter, but
Right.
Amber will send me stuff on like older pictures of the kids when they were growing up. She sent me one Harley when he got his first bow and arrow. Him out in the yard showing Maddie how to use it. That was a 10 years ago. Well, not probably not that long. Probably 8 years ago photo. But she sends me stuff like that pretty regular. That's really the only reason I even keep it. I don't get anything from anybody else, which is fine. But
Right.
I don't know. I never have been a Snapchatter. It doesn't
Yeah.
interest me.
A lot of this stuff is not really my cup of tea, but at the same time, you know, it's the only way to communicate anymore.
Yeah, I was a little wary of Snapchat when it first came out because their whole selling point was send videos and pictures that delete after so much time, and I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I don't know why you would. Well, I do know why you would, but
Yeah.
I don't recommend it. Parents, don't let your kids play on Snapchat too much.
No, because there's a lot of bad stuff. All these apps, I tell you the truth, the only way I ever got on TikTok when Amanda was still in high school, she had gotten wanted to put TikTok on her phone. So I went and put TikTok on my phone so I so I could see what she was doing.
Yep.
You know, and some people are like, well, you're checking up on your kids. Well, people, if you're not checking up on your kids, you're doing them a disservice.
Absolutely.
You only get one chance to make a mistake.
Absolutely.
Child.
And hey, man, there's way more people out there after your kids in bad ways than there are people after your kids in good ways.
Exactly.
When I was coming up through school, you know, we would have youth pastors from the local church would come and every now and then eat lunch in the cafeteria and talk to people, the kids, you know, and you don't have that now. I mean, I never even went to this guy's church, but I still remember one of the youth pastors here while I was around the Silsbee area. He used to come up to the school quite a bit, man. I knew still know his name to this day, would recognize him if I saw him out in public. But that said a lot, but you don't have that.
Yeah.
You don't don't have it as much as you used to. Kids need good examples.
Yeah, speaking of examples, I'm gonna let that segue into I sent you I don't know, man, Facebook article about Sam Williams. Did you get a chance to read that?
Sam Williams.
Grandson of Hank Williams Jr., so great grandson of Hank Sr.
I'm going to go ahead and say I did not.
So he's in the direct lineage of Hank Williams, you know, and he has that look kind of like Hank 3 has, where he really looks more like Hank than he probably should. But there's a thing on there where he was telling someone, I think he was overseas performing, and he told him that he liked boys and he liked singing country music. So, you know, following in that, I guess, Tyler Childers vein of what we said, that this was going to open gates for several people who may not have come out, you know, with either homosexual or bisexual or whatever, transsexuals, whatever, you don't know. That's what we're about to see. I think we're going to see country music get inundated with more and more people coming out as either homosexual, transsexual, pansexual, whatever. So I thought that was interesting, because that's just right on the heels of the Tyler Childers thing. So
yeah,
you got a seatbelt? Put it on.
well, country music hasn't been country music for a long time, so.
Well, I like the way Ray Wiley Hubbard put it. Country music went to hell when Johnny Cash quit taking pills.
Yeah. Yeah.
That might be a little over the line, but it's not too far from wrong either.
Yeah. I think he probably. We've said this before on here. People who are artistic tend to be, for the most part, more liberal.
They're very liberal, and there's nothing wrong with being. If you want to be liberal, that's fine. The problem that I have, and what little I have dealt with liberals, I don't know, they seem to avoid me. Thank you, Lord, but they seem to avoid me for some reason. Is that they want me to change everything in my lifestyle to fit their lifestyle, and I don't want to change anything. And I try to tell them, I'm all about, I love people to go hunting and fishing, but I don't require it.
Right.
You're not a hunter.
Nope.
We still get along fine, right?
Get along just fine.
I've never given you crap about not going hunting. I don't require people to do things that I like for me to be their friend or to like them. You know what I mean? Now it helps that you have things in common. Like we both like fishing.
Yep. And my thing is not my objection to hunting is not a
moral one.
Yeah, it's not. I totally get it. I will still eat all the meat and everything that Harley and his papa bring home. But
yeah,
I'm just not interested. To be perfectly honest, probably because I have just a soft heart for the animals.
Right.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. I do not have a soft heart for the fishes. I've got a clogged arteries from eating fried fishes. So.
Well, I understand that. Release them into Crisco Bay, right?
Correct. They come out nice and crispy.
That's right.
And hey, when you're finished, if you fry them on the bone, you can use the bone, the whole skeleton as a comb for your hair.
That's right. Just like the cartoon.
That's correct.
Now, having said that, I'd like to put it out there that me and Adam are both. We are not picky about the fish. Fresh water, salt water, mixed water, we'll fish in any of it. We'll eat any of them fish just about. So
whatever we can get to eat, we'll eat.
Right. Now we do have preference though.
Yeah, right.
I mean, like bass is pretty much the bottom of my list on all fish, but here's you another little one-liner, buddy. It said, if God isn't a longhorn, why are the sunsets burnt orange?
Hey,
starting fights everywhere I go, ain't I?
No, you ain't starting one here. I was just thinking, but I'm not going to go into what the old Longhorn campus was protesting guns with a few years ago.
Yeah, I'm with you. They're not. Speaking of liberals, and the funny thing is, I have two nieces that went out there, and they're just as bright and smart of people as you ever want to meet. But man, you could see a change in their thinking when they come back. You know what I mean? They grew up here in Sabine County, very conservative, and but that's what you do. You go out and you live your life like everybody else is supposed to. So, right?
Yep. The thing I learned in college that I'll always remember the most is You're surrounded by some really smart people, and you sit there and on a daily basis, you have very, very intelligent people lecture to you about things. Uh, what I will say is that what I learned was just because you're really, really intelligent about some things doesn't mean you're right about everything.
Well, it's like Smokey and the Bandit. If there's a scene in there where they're trying to figure out
Go ahead. I gotta hear this.
if they're compatible. Hang on. Buford T. Justice wasn't in this one, so you probably don't. He wasn't in this scene. You probably missed it though. Where him and Frogger are down by the lake taking a break, and they're talking about are they compatible or not, and she starts asking if I think he knows who Andrew Lloyd Webber is, and has he ever seen a chorus line? I may be off, but it's something like that. So he starts asking her about baseball players and race car drivers and people like that in his circle. And he told us that, see, depending on where you're standing, just how dumb you really are. So everybody has intelligence in certain areas and realms, but that don't mean that they're geniuses all the way around. So take people for what they are, man. Just people.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I don't know how to answer the question of sending your kids off to liberal college, and they're all liberal. I'm not picking on.
I think they find one that's not anymore, a public school anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. It's just been inundated with people who, I don't know. When I was teaching, I did my best to. I think the kids knew where I shook out on the side of the topics because I taught high school, but I did my best to be fair about it. Be what Fox News is not, right? Fair and balanced. And I try to stick with the facts because here's the deal. I taught history and I taught English. And both of those two things you could present the facts without having to go into your personal opinions on it. And so I don't think that liberal people do that. I think when they get in the classroom, they put their spin on everything intentionally. And while I may have accidentally every now and then had some nuances in the way I presented things, I never did it intentionally. And hey, looking out across it, because a lot of those students, I still get to see their lives on Facebook and all that, they turned out how they were going to turn out, regardless of any kind of influence I had on them. Anyway.
So, yeah, you probably still see some of your students around town, though, right?
No, not recently.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're from what? I mean, you're from down around Silsbee area, and
yeah,
it's small. It's a still small town area.
I taught a little further north than that, so
yeah.
Last time I saw one was one of the young men there in Port Arthur when I went to eat with you and one of the guys we worked with.
I remember. Where did you teach at Warren?
Up in Woodville.
Woodville, okay.
Woodville.
All right. Warren's where Mr. George went to school.
Yeah.
He did not finish, but I think they probably asked him to leave after some of the stories I heard. He
still did 70, okay.
I think he turned 77 yesterday, little buddy.
There you go. He still did okay for himself.
He's done good. I think he's gonna make it. I think he'll be all right. He's having some issues with his eyes, which bothers him. But his mind is still sharp, man.
That's what matters.
Because he was telling me he cut a piece of. Mr. George used to have a sawmill. If y'all don't know, he was telling me about a place he had clear cut, and how many acres it was, and how much it cost him an acre. And then he kind of got quiet, and he goes, "That was, I think, in 1978." I'm like, What? So yeah, that's pretty sharp mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
A little
he's
bit.
still sharp on things, man. But
Sounds like it.
yeah. And some more local news, brother Kevin that we spoke about last week. If any of y'all prayed for him and sent well wishes out, we appreciate it. He came home 2 weeks after having a double lung transplant, and from what little I know about, that's pretty amazing deal. So we appreciate everybody remembering him and also remembering the donor family.
Thank the Lord, man. That's impressive.
And yeah, and if you never thought about being a donor, which I never really put much stock into it, maybe something to think about.
I actually am a donor.
What are you gonna donate?
I don't know what'll be useful, but
I know what won't. Have mercy.
I don't know what would be useful. My liver's shot. My eyeballs don't work right. My allergies suck. I don't even know what you would get out of your allergies. My lung capacity. My lungs are probably pretty good if you wanted to take them and exercise with them.
There you go.
They don't get exposed to a lot of that.
There you go. Man, well, and you got no neck. They can't get anything out of there.
That's right.
A head sitting on a body. So.
God have mercy.
So I don't know what they could do with that. I'm with you. I would donate, but I don't know what they'd get. My eyesight's getting worse every day. I know my liver's probably not in real good shape because they told me I need to go on a diet. Just fatty.
Yeah.
And I'm just suspecting that my kidneys are not anything but 2 rocks back there anymore.
Because of the Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper. So I don't know what they would take, but I guess my heart, I take a medication to slow it down because it's stupid. It tries to go so fast all the time. So I don't know.
I'm interviewing friends. If you want to email me at lasthobosramble@gmail.com.
I say we do this, man. Let's put a thing up there and they get to tell us what body part they might need or want, and we'll tell them how bad ours are. If any of y'all are into scrap metal, you can get the titanium when I'm gone. It ought to be worth something. Don't laugh. You're going to have your knees done one day, so keep on. Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's good. I'm real happy for Brother Kevin. That's
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out how we got off on this. Thank you for bringing that back. Yeah, I hope to speak with Brother Kevin in person this week, and maybe in the future when he feels like he can talk for a little while, maybe we can get him to come on the show and kind of talk us through what's happened there and how he's dealt with it, because it's got to be a lot of ups and downs emotionally and strain on family. Maybe he can convince us to, that we should all be organ donors. So I don't know. It's different when it hits close to home.
Yeah. Yep. Thank the Lord for good news on that front.
Yeah, Dwight Eisenhower once said, "An atheist is a man who watches a Notre Dame SMU football game and doesn't care who wins."
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I got jokes this morning, people.
Got jokes this morning. Hey. I don't think anybody be mad at you.
So if I can jump back over to Mr. George this week.
Buddy, I've known you for years and I've never seen you jump, but you go ahead.
I'm going to crow hop.
You hippity hoppity right on over there.
That's right. We rode down to part of the National Forest, Sabine National Forest, I guess what it would be there. And he was showing me the road and where they were going to be putting in this new park. You know, Louisiana has Cypress Bend Park, and that's where all the Bassmasters and fishing tournaments go to weigh in because they have real nice facilities, real nice boat ramps, weigh in facilities, things like that. Well, we don't have anything like that over here. So even when the McDonald's comes to Toledo Bend, they go to Cypress Bend over there. And we feel like, I guess we've all felt like we've been missing out on revenue and things from it for years. But Sabine River Authority is putting in a park that's supposed to be a rival to that or be a counterpart to that. I don't know if it's going to be a rival. It's because the Sabine River Authority is on both sides of the lake, Louisiana and Texas. But they're going to be putting in a big park, big facility. I think it's going to take up 200 acres. So we rode down and looked, and you can see where they're actually clearing the land and such. And they got their stormwater pollution prevention programs fence up there at them. You'd be glad to know that. Didn't see the board with the permit yet, but I did see the fence. No, it's a big area, and they're going to be working on it over the next couple years, and hopefully it'll bring some revenue and things into Sabine County and Toledo Bend. And Mr. George was gracious enough to tell me and show me what he knew about it. So, I always appreciate getting to go on these little trips and learn things that you don't know. Which for me, the things I don't know is just as big as the universe. So.
Huh. Well, that's good though. That'd be nice to have a new facility, especially on this side of the river.
I think it'll be great. I do. I think it'll be good.
I've been over to Cypress Bend. It's real nice.
Cypress Bend is a nice facility, man.
So are they going to have camping spaces on this side as well? Is that the
They
plan?
are supposed to have camping spaces on this side, from what I understand. A boat ramp, like a big boat ramp like Cypress Bend. I think probably be 5 lanes or something. So you don't get clogged up, people coming in and out. Probably someone said they're even going at some point going to put in a golf course like they have over there. Everything. So
nice.
Yeah, I mean it's really it could really be a shot in the arm for our part of the lake here. And that.
Is John going to take up golf?
I'm with Mark Twain on golf. Golf is just a good way to learn a walk. So no, I'm not taking up golf. You said are they going to have RV and camping parking? Well, down this road there's a lot of private land down it. I don't know if it's a lot, but there's some private land down it. So I would imagine that if this continues to go like it is, you might see RV park or a camping spots, things like that pop up. Maybe a convenience store in there. I don't know. They're going to do so much for the putting in the park, but me and Mr. George talked about that. A lot of the stuff that comes around that is up to the individuals. If someone wants to put in a store down there or an RV park, that's up to the private individuals a lot of times. So I think you might see that though. It seems like something that would just be common sense, to me.
Yeah, just a place to grow.
Right. And it's down a long dirt road right now, but Mr. George said he believed they was going to pave that road all the way in. Big plus there.
Sure they will. Those people that got those $80,000 Phoenix boats don't want to pull them down that dirt road.
I don't know why. They'll run over a stump in them in a heartbeat.
Right. So. I bet it's more lower units in the lake than there are fish.
Well, out there going to Pendleton, there's an old bridge underwater, which is marked very well. But I was told one time that there's a man that goes to diving out there every so often, gets the props and stuff. So
Everybody got to have a hobby.
everybody needs a hobby.
Oh, wow. Well, that's good though. I mean, I don't know. I ain't gonna get into it, but that'd be good. That'd be a good shot in the arm for Sabine County. And
Oh, I promise you, I could sit here and get into the bad part of it too, you know. But I'm not going to.
The weekend warriors, tournament fishermen, and all that. I just don't even want to get into it. It's a touchy subject. So this last week we crossed the 123rd anniversary of the Galveston hurricane of 1900. It was on
Worst natural disaster, is that?
Yes, it was the worst
in history.
Worst natural disaster to ever hit the North American continent. There's a book of essays all about Texas essays. It's called the Texas Vistas, Vistas. And
Vistas or Vistas?
Vistas. I'll say Vistas, but
okay.
There's a really good essay in there about the storm, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a meteorologist at the time. They didn't really have meteorologists per se, but as a profession, but kind of what he did, dabbled in it a little bit. And he kept trying to tell them that they had this storm on the way, and it didn't work out too well. Ended up, it struck Galveston on the 8th of September in 1900, and a whole third of the city was destroyed. Between 6,000 and 8,000 people died. The whole island was underwater at one point. And even at that time, the property loss was estimated at $30 million. Of course, led to the creation of the seawall that they have now. And honestly, since then, probably hasn't ever seen a storm that would even come close to that one since. But I will say this, they do a good job of trying to prepare that area for stuff like this. There have been a lot of projects here recently, dredging projects that seek to extend the beach out from the seawall. Galveston's a very unique place, great place to visit.
I've read that that's the reason that Galveston is one of the most haunted places in the United States also. That there were so many people killed. They didn't have refrigeration. Of course, power was out also for, I don't know how long, what power they had. And they were going to gather bodies up and bury them. And being September in Texas, it still gets hot. And the bodies were starting to decompose, and I believe the mayor gave the order to bury them where they lay. And that's why when you hear about someone building a new building, they'll start doing the civil work on it, and they'll find 3 or 4 bodies out there. You know, so it used to make the news, you know, because people were like, "Oh, it's a mass grave." But well, yeah, it was a mass grave, but we don't know who was buried there or when. Or we know when, but so anyway, they're supposed to be one of the most haunted places there is, and if you're into paranormal, that might be a place to go check out. Adam and I, we got this thing. We don't run, you know, because it's kind of a form of exercise, and we're totally against that. But we're not going anywhere that something can chase us in the middle of the night out of a motel room. So it's not for me.
Plus, we have built-in snoring mechanisms that scare all the ghosts away anyway. So
Yeah, it sounded like they were in a machine shop, I promise you.
Right. So also, uh, just something to keep in mind. We've had a really mild hurricane season, to be honest.
It's almost been non-existent.
Exactly, and the reason that most of the reason that we haven't had anything in Texas, I know Florida dealt with one, but is because of the high pressure and the drought, which we've all hated, to be honest. But might not have been a bad trade-off if we didn't get a hurricane that destroyed a bunch of stuff. So, good Lord knows what He's doing, So
That's right.
Also on the 12th here, in 1909, Kenneth Threadgill was born. Moved to Austin in 1933 and was working at a service station. Bought the place he was working, turned it into a tavern,
Yep.
And eventually became a musical venue. They saw acts like Joplin and several of the others.
Everyone, man.
Yeah, everybody came through.
Gwen and I were eating down there one time. There were two Threadgills eventually. And we were at the one down on Congress Street, right across the bridge.
Yeah.
And Ray Benson was out there walking around, from asleep at the wheel. And he's kind of hard to miss because I think he's like 6'5" or 6'7". He's a big, tall guy.
Dang.
But yeah, he was out there just kind of milling around, talking to people. I guess they were going to play that night or something, or he was. But yeah, I think Threadgills it's a landmark establishment.
Yep.
And the food was just awesome. I mean, it really was. Hadn't been there in a long time, so.
He really was pretty quiet on the national scene until about early 1980s, and I think him and Willie Nelson, they sang Honeysuckle Rose, or sang in the
movie
Honeysuckle Rose. Yep, sang in there together, and even if you don't really know the name or recognize the name Kenneth Threadgill, you definitely have heard some of his music that he wrote, or his songs that he wrote, right?
Yeah, he was part of that whole Austin scene throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Silver-haired daddy of mine. T for Texas, T for Tennessee. That's probably the most well-known one, I would imagine.
Now that I thought was the Jimmy Rogers song, isn't it? Or they took part of it and made the other one. I don't know.
They credit it to him, but.
Okay. Well, maybe it's something different I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Let's research that when we get done.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think he died in 1987, and Threadgill's, I believe, is still there. It's just not a tavern anymore. It's Threadgill's restaurant.
Right. They do serve alcohol, but it's,
yeah,
I think probably more wine than anything now. I think the Lone Star beer is gone by the wayside.
Oh, Lone Star's still around, I think.
Well, but I mean, as popularity goes.
Oh yeah. More popular than Bud Light right now. Anyway, so this one is slightly humorous, and only because of the passage of time, because 3 people actually died, but this kind of relates to John and I's outside careers. 126 years ago, on the 15th, there was an event that was put on. It was a staged PR stunt, more or less, a little bit north of Waco, about 15 miles in McLennan County. It was called the Crash at Crush, and it was a publicity stunt for the Katy Railroad, where they decided they were going to crash 2 railroad engines into one another in the non-existent town of Crush, Texas. So they made up the town name in the middle of the county, in the middle of nowhere. They started a bunch of really elaborate preparations, did a lot of publicity surrounding it, and when it came time to crash the locomotives, they had about 40,000 there to witness the event. They started a 2-mile run on the engines, one of them bright green and one of them bright red, and they met in Crush, fiery crash. Might be where we get that famous math equation, right?
Right.
Anyway, the
What
answer.
time do they both get to Crush?
That's right. And the simple answer to the question, the equation, is that flying debris killed 3 people, injured 6 more, and by the time nightfall came, they had completely abandoned the scene. Of course, you do get a march, I think, by Scott Joplin called Great Crush Collision eventually out of it. But wow. So just so morons 126 years ago, right? Invited a bunch of civilians to see a publicity stunt that killed 3 of them, injured 6. Just keep in mind, folks.
I got a question for you, man.
And
I know you don't have the answer, but just something to think about. You crashed 2 locomotives into each other. That had to be pretty expensive.
Yes.
You know?
My guess is that these were 2 that they had planned to scrap anyway.
Well, okay.
They got them running just enough that they could have their little stunt. But here's my question. John and Adam are in the taxi business. John, is it great publicity to show everybody us crashing 2 taxis into one another?
Not in my opinion.
Okay.
But,
anyway,
you know.
I thought it was pretty ridiculous. Clearly, they didn't know much about safety back in the day.
Well, it was probably some wackos from Waco, man.
Could have been.
Wow.
They even have the numbers. Number 999 was green, and the number 1001 was red. Flying debris. How close were you standing to, by the way?
Right.
I mean, I'm not. Look, we're talking about 1896. These things.
These were steam engines, man.
Yes, they couldn't have been.
Oh, you actually had 2 boilers that could explode.
Yeah, that's true, but at the same time, like.
Well, I mean, you had to have a head of steam on them to get them to run.
Yep.
So when they're running toward each other, you have 2 live boilers.
Yep.
So you could have a pretty good. Apparently, you do have a pretty good explosion. I tell you what, looking back, maybe some of the stuff I did wasn't so stupid.
Correct.
Wow.
There's probably still a crater out there in Crush.
I'm not going to look for it.
Me either. Probably got a subdivision built over the top of it now. Waco has expanded a lot over the last few years, if you didn't know.
Yes, I have noticed. I have noticed.
It's come a long way since Billy Joe was there.
Yeah, most places have, though, you know it.
Correct.
Wow. I don't have any strange news today. I do have some coming up, but I don't have any for today.
Gotcha. Upcoming events, it's kind of slow right now. I think we're getting to that point where it's end of summer, going into early fall. Fall's normally I don't want to say it's slow for music events, but
well, it's mostly festivals and things.
You got a lot of festivals, yeah, and so I don't know. At the end of the month, I think the 29th, you got Dos Borrachos, right, which is Kevin Fowler and Roger Krieger. Going to be in Spring, Texas. Remember the venue. Can't remember the venue.
While you're looking, I will throw out there that if you haven't heard the great songwriter John Hyatt, who wrote so many great songs, he was hiking and fell off of the trail, and apparently I think he broke a hip and some other things, and they had to get a rescue in there to get him back and get him up the hill and everything. But I think he's doing well now. So I'm not sure how old he is. I would say he's too old to be falling off the edge of cliffs or hills.
Hiking's bad for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Any way you look at it.
Correct. Dos Barachos is going to be at Sawyer Park Ice House in Spring, Texas. September the 29th. If you've never seen, I have never seen them together, but I have seen Kevin Fowler individually, and he puts on a great show. Real down-to-earth guy.
I like Roger Krieger as well. I might like Kevin Fowler a little better, but Roger Krieger's had some really good songs. Probably the biggest song he ever hit was this song about Everclear. Yeah, it's the Everclear song. So, but yeah, he's a good songwriter, a good singer. Kind of a unique individual in his own way too. He flies his own planes. So after he wrote that Everclear song, I wouldn't get on a plane with him. But hey,
Roger, don't get on the planes, man.
If you're a musician,
don't get on the plane.
Doesn't end very well.
Yeah,
just doesn't end well. What?
Anyway, so Roger, don't get on the airplanes or the helicopters. I go down the list, right? Buddy Holly, Richie Valens,
Leonard
Skinner,
Patsy Cline, Stevie Ray Vaughan,
John Denver, Randy Rhoads. To stay off the planes, man.
Yep. So back to my thing here about worrying about Adam. His wife puts on Facebook, anytime I get new dish towels, Adam always asks me if he can use it or if it's for him to just look at and wish he could use it. Now, I ask you, Adam, is this true?
It is true.
Well, I'm with you on it, buddy. I don't understand the purpose of a dish towel you can't use.
Hey,
but
thing is
that's why I worry about you, those kind of remarks. She publicizes her remarks.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. I guarantee you if we polled 85% of everybody would say, yeah, you should be able to use a towel if it's there for use, if it's available for use. Like, same thing with the bathroom towels, okay? If you're one of those, we are not, but if you're one of those families that have the fancy monogram towels in your bathroom, don't invite me to your house because I'm going to use that towel.
Yeah, I'm going to wipe my hands on it.
Better have a sign or something.
Yeah.
Remember your grandmother had little decorative soaps.
I thought those come out of the motel.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard, a decorative soap. They were like shaped like little seashells.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Why are the bathrooms always decorated in beach themes? That's the stuff that keeps us up at night, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, we'll talk about this for an hour, I guarantee you.
Yeah, we'll spare you. We will spare you, folks. Well, I guess that's about it, John. I don't see anything else here.
Well, all right, y'all. If you got any questions or comments, send them over to our email, and we'll get those to you. If you go check us out on TikTok, Facebook, as Adam said earlier, you can also go to the RSS RSS.com, I think / I don't know, Adam, you can give it to them. I thought I had it memorized, but I don't.
It's rss.com / Last Hobos Ramble. Oh, well, I messed it up too. So it's rss.com / podcasts / Last Hobos Ramble. Yeah, and like you said, send us an email, drop us a line, tell us what you'd like to hear us talk about, what you'd like our opinion about if you're that brave. The email address is lasthobosramble@gmail.com. But yeah, we'd like to see some audience interaction there. We know y'all are out there because we see it when you download it. So
yeah, as of right now, we've never had any audience interaction. So
subscribe, review, give us a star or two, whatever you got to do. But any information, feedback we can get is going to help us out. So help us out with that. But appreciate y'all listening and your support.
Hey, if you don't fit in anywhere else, come hang out with us.
Roll down the windows, turn up the radio. Just kick back and ride real slow. Take a deep